I want you to picture something for a second. You're standing at the checkout of your local grocery store.
Right, just doing the standard weekly run.
Exactly. The cashier finishes scanning, you look at the little screen, and you just sort of freeze.
Because the number staring back at you is completely wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you are buying the exact same things you always buy, the same brand of coffee, the same bread, the exact same quantity.
But the total is significantly higher than it was just, what, a couple of years ago?
Way higher. It's a totally mundane moment. I mean, we've all been there recently. But that specific ordinary moment actually holds the key to what might be the most dangerous financial trap of your life.
It really does. It's the perfect entry point.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking the prologue of Gregory Scola's audiobook, The Leaking Pound.
And we're trying to answer one pretty terrifying question. Right?
We are. We're looking at why doing absolutely nothing with your money, just playing it safe, might actually be the single most dangerous financial decision a person can make.
Which totally challenges the basic assumptions most of us were raised with.
Oh, for sure. We're taught that risk is something you actively choose, like buying a volatile stock.
Right? Or starting a risky business.
Right.
But Scholes' core argument flips that entirely. He asserts that in the modern economic system, passivity is actually the ultimate risk.
Okay, let's unpack this grocery epiphany he talks about. Because he's standing there looking at his receipt, and he experiences this really profound shift.
Yeah, he makes this brilliant distinction between knowing about inflation intellectually and knowing it existentially.
Intellectually, I mean, we all read the headlines, right?
Exactly. You see a percentage point increase on the news, you nod, and you just kind of go about your day.
Right, treating it like it's just the weather. Like, oh, it's raining today. Oh, inflation is up today.
But existential knowledge is completely different. It forces a reaction. It's that sudden, visceral realization that the 100 pounds sitting in your pocket right now is it's physically incapable of buying what it could 2 years ago.
Wow, yeah. It's not just that the coffee company decided to charge you more.
No, the currency itself is literally being diluted.
So wait, what is the difference for you, like actually feeling it existentially? Does it change how you act?
Absolutely. Intellectual knowledge lets you stay passive. Existential knowledge means you realize the mechanics of fiat currency are actively working against you.
Because central banks are expanding the money supply, right?
Right. They do it to manage debt or stimulate growth.
Mm.
But every static pound you hold represents a smaller and smaller slice of the total pie.
Your money loses value because there's just more money floating around, but the goods, the coffee, the bread, they stay the same.
Exactly. The real-world resources and labor are constrained, but the currency isn't.
Scola uses this incredibly vivid metaphor to help us visualize this, and I love it. He says holding static cash is like carrying a bag of sand with a tiny hole in the bottom.
Oh, the leaking bag. It's such a perfect image.
Right. You pick up the bag, it feels heavy, it looks totally fine from the outside, so you just put it in the closet and you feel secure.
But then years later, you go to get it, and the sand is just gone.
Gone. And nobody broke into your house, nobody stole your wallet in the middle of the night.
No, it was just a structural leak. And because it's silent and it's gradual, our brains just aren't wired to notice it.
We only react to sudden threats, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, if the stock market crashes 20% in one afternoon, that's global news. Everyone panics.
But a slow bleed of, say, 3% purchasing power every single year.
You don't even notice it until a decade later when you're standing at the checkout line freezing at the price of milk.
That psychological blind spot is huge. We just associate stability with safety.
Right, a checking account feels safe because the nominal number never goes down.
Yeah, if I put in 10 grand, it says 10 grand tomorrow and next month and next year.
The number is static. But the actual purchasing power of that number over a long enough timeline, it is incredibly volatile.
The bag is leaking. And if you never look underneath to see the sand pouring out, you're just living in this false reality.
You're operating under a complete illusion of security.
Okay, so if the bag is leaking, the obvious question is, who poked the hole?
Well, Scola argues you don't have to look very far. You basically just have to turn on the evening news.
Right, because after his grocery epiphany, he starts watching global events through a completely different lens.
Everything connects. A chancellor standing at the dispatch box announcing massive new government spending.
Or some sudden geopolitical conflict, right?
Exactly. Or an unexpected election result halfway across the world. These aren't just abstract stories for political junkies anymore.
They're actual levers being pulled that directly drain the purchasing power of your savings.
The macro environment and the micro reality of your wallet are mechanically linked. They just are.
Okay, but let me push back on this for a second. On behalf of the listener,
Go for it.
what if you just want to mind your own business? I mean, not everyone is an academic or an economist.
Most people definitely aren't.
Right. So if I'm working my 40 hours, putting food on the table, and diligently putting a chunk of my paycheck into a savings account, shouldn't that be enough?
It feels like it should be, ethically speaking.
Yeah. The idea that I have to become some macroeconomics expert just to protect my baseline wealth, it's exhausting.
It is incredibly exhausting.
It feels like I'm sitting in a rowboat and someone is telling me I need a degree in meteorology to keep from drowning.
Yeah.
Like, can I just focus on rowing?
I hear that. And your frustration is exactly what Scola is tapping into in the book.
Right.
But let's look at that boat analogy again.
Okay.
In the modern economy, you aren't rowing on a calm, static lake. You're actually on a treadmill.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that treadmill is constantly speeding up, driven by inflation, currency dilution, and government policy.
So if I'm just standing still, minding my own business.
You are actively moving backward.
Ah,
Being disciplined in a flawed system just ensures that you fail slightly slower.
that is so bleak, but it makes so much sense. Ignorance doesn't actually build a wall around your bank account.
Ignorance is just ignorance. It's not protection. The damage happens whether you care about monetary policy or not.
The cost of a barrel of oil spikes overseas. That means higher transport costs, which means my coffee gets more expensive.
Precisely. Your static pounds are forced to absorb the friction of the entire global economy. You are forced up the risk curve just to survive.
Force up the risk curve. I mean, that is the reality, isn't it? You literally cannot opt out of the game.
No, you can't. If inflation is at 5% and your savings account gives you 2%, you are mathematically guaranteed to lose wealth every year.
So to just preserve what you have, just to tread water, you have to take on risk. Equities, real estate, whatever.
The system actively penalizes the cautious saver.
Which brings us to what I think is the most haunting part of this whole deep dive. Scola really grounds these abstract ideas in real human stakes.
He does. He pivots from policy to the historical human cost, specifically looking at retirees.
This is the tragedy of people who did everything right.
Exactly. People who followed all the rules their parents taught them.
Right. They weren't reckless. They didn't gamble on, crazy tech stocks or take out ridiculous debt.
They just worked there 40 years, saved diligently in standard accounts, and trusted the system.
They expected the traditional rules of finance to protect them in their twilight years, and then they reach retirement.
And they find their pensions don't even cover basic living costs.
It's terrifying. These people are suddenly forced into choices like, do I heat my home this month or do I buy decent food?
The mechanics of a fixed income failing against compounded inflation is just devastating to watch.
Because if a retiree calculates their cost of living based on the economy of their working years,
A decade of persistent inflation just completely shatters that math. The purchasing power of their fixed pension halves while their medical expenses double.
and again, what makes it so tragic is that they weren't gamblers. So what does it mean when the people who play by the rules get punished?
It means the rules changed and nobody bothered to tell them.
The environment they started in simply wasn't the environment they retired in.
That's the core of it. They lived through a changing world that their traditional saving strategies just weren't built to survive.
It's like spending 4 decades running toward an end zone, running the plays perfectly, and when you finally get there, you realize the goalposts were moved 100 yards away.
And the officials who moved them didn't announce it. Scola's urgent warning to the listener is that obedience to outdated financial rules is a fatal miscalculation.
Assuming the economy of 2010 will stay static for your retirement in 2040 is just, it's magical thinking.
Right, because the rules of money are dictated by math and policy. They aren't dictated by morality.
The market doesn't care if you're a good person.
Doesn't care how hard you worked. Wealth just flows to whoever understands the mechanics of the current environment.
And it flows away from those who are anchored to obsolete paradigms.
Exactly. Which brings us to the real pivot in the book, moving from diagnosing this crisis to the mindset shift required to survive it.
Right, the pivot from just staring at the leaking bag to actually figuring out how to patch it.
And Scola distills this into one defining philosophy.
Passivity is a choice. Doing nothing is actually a decision.
In an environment of constant economic motion, doing nothing is not neutral. It is an active decision to surrender your wealth.
Surrender. That is a heavy word, but it's the right one.
It is. Because if you choose not to manage your wealth, inflation and currency dilution are going to manage it for you.
And definitely not to your benefit.
No, not at all. Taking destiny into your own hands means abandoning the illusion that a traditional savings account is a safe harbor.
But wait, when people hear phrases like, abandon passivity or take destiny into your own hands, I feel like the immediate temptation is to swing wildly to the other extreme.
Oh, absolutely. They panic.
They think, well, if the bank isn't safe, I need to go day trade volatile crypto or chase whatever meme stock is trending on social media.
They start looking for a get-rich-quick scheme just to outpace inflation.
But Scola is incredibly deliberate about what his framework actually is and what it isn't, right?
He explicitly rejects that get-rich-quick mentality. Chasing extreme volatility is just another form of surrender.
Right, you're just surrendering to impulse instead of surrendering to inflation.
Exactly. This book is not a stock-picking guide. It's not formal financial advice. It's entirely about a mindset shift.
The goal isn't to beat Wall Street algorithms at their own game.
No, the objective is to build something honest, something resilient, and to do it deliberately.
I love how he strips away the whole finance guru persona, too.
It's so refreshing. He basically says, look, I'm not an advisor. I'm just a guy who finally started paying attention.
He doesn't offer a magic formula. He just shares his own real, imperfect portfolio.
Which is such a powerful teaching tool.
Right, he walks you through his actual decisions, mistakes and all. It really bridges the gap between abstract theory and, real-world application.
Because abstract theory usually paralyzes people. They feel like they need a PhD in finance just to make their first investment.
But by showing a real flawed portfolio, he lowers that barrier. You don't have to be perfect to protect yourself.
You just need to be engaged. You need to hold assets that can actually appreciate alongside the expansion of the money supply.
It's just about taking ownership, being the active author of where your life's labor goes instead of a passive passenger watching your cost of living double.
You want to ensure that the value you create today retains its power tomorrow.
So you can pass it on deliberately rather than watching it just quietly evaporate into the ether.
But taking ownership does require accepting some hard truths. There will be volatility. There will be boring, difficult years where your conviction is tested.
Scola admits he's always adjusting his thesis, right, as new data comes out.
Constantly. But the fundamental difference between his past self, the guy shocked at the grocery checkout, and his current self, is that he is finally awake.
He sees the game being played around him. He's not using ignorance as a shield anymore.
Because the paradigm of safe behavior has fundamentally shifted.
Playing by the old rules, just burying your head in your work and hoping the math magically works out. That's built on hope, not reality.
The global economy is going to keep turning. Currencies will fluctuate, markets will crash, and they will recover.
And through all that systemic noise, your money is either mathematically working to preserve your labor, or it is mathematically working to dilute it.
There really is no neutral ground anymore.
Wow. Okay. As we wrap up this deep dive, I think we need to leave the listener with something to really mull over.
I have a question I'd love to throw out to everyone listening.
Go for it.
Scola's life-altering wake-up call didn't come from a complex white paper. It didn't come from a meeting with a wealth manager.
It came from a simple, mundane grocery receipt.
Exactly. It was an everyday metric that revealed a massive invisible leak in his financial foundation.
So the question is,
as you go about your week, look at your own routine. What is the grocery receipt in your life?
Oh, that's good.
What everyday metric, maybe the cost of your commute, the rising premium on your insurance, or the price of your coffee, is quietly trying to warn you that the rules of the game are changing?
And that it is finally time to start paying attention. What is your grocery receipt? Find it, examine it, and realize that you don't have to just watch the sand leak out of the bag.
You have the agency to patch it.
You do. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the invisible economic forces around you, keep paying attention, and we will catch you next time.